Okay, so this is for Physiological Psychology Lab. The chapter I have chosen of interest for this presentation is Sleep and Biological Rhythms. In the book Physiology of Behavior, it starts off with describing what is sleep by simply putting that it is a behavior. Sleep is a behavior because of the urge to sleep we feel after doing something. It is important to get the amount of hours you're supposed to have to be rested up. What happens to our bodies during sleep is normal, even though it would seem that we are asleep because of us being unresponsive to noise. It's the opposite. It also explains why some people experience lucid dreaming, which is being aware of dreaming but not being awake. Even though there are only a certain percentage of people who have felt this, I am not one of them, but there was a time I have felt the feeling of falling and having my body jerk. There have also been studies that shown that lucid dreaming can happen in non-REM sleep. As we all know, brain chemicals are a part of how we sleep. With neurotransmitters, they help control whether we're asleep or awake depending on the neurons. Like neurons at the base of the brain have control over us falling asleep, so when it's time, it signals for us to go to sleep. While neurons that's near the brain and spinal cord, they are attached to each other. They produce serotonin and norepinephrine are the chemicals that in the location that keeps us awake. We need sleep because lack of sleep can hurt our performance in our daily lives, and memory failure could happen. If a person is sleep deprived, a person might develop neurological problems like emotions being all over the place, or even having their moods being up and down. Sleep can also help the nerves because of nerve connections. It strengthens our brains in thinking. Sleep also helps with well-being, with people who don't get enough sleep being more likely to develop health problems like diabetes or heart problems. Studies have also shown that being deprived of REM sleep can shorten your lifespan, which leads to a lack of protection for the immune system and fewer protections from infections. There are stages of sleep that the human body goes through, with two phases known as rapid eye movement or REM and non-rapid eye movement or NREM, which then is broken down into two smaller stages. First, scientists use an electroencephalogram or EEG, which records the brain activity, which the scientists can see the performance of the brain as it's placed in many activities as a person falls asleep. During the first stages, your body is still awake, which leads to the brain to produce beta waves, which lets you know the brain is active. As the brain and body relax, there are alpha waves that spring into action. With this all happening, your body goes through hypnogenic hallucinations where you experience things like your body feeling like it's falling, whereas if you hear someone talking to you or calling your name. This is something I have experienced many times as I'm falling asleep, as I said before, with my body falling and jerking. And with this happening, I can feel it because of me not being fully asleep. The first stage is NREM stage 1, which is when you shift between being awake to sleep, and during this, the brain slows down along with eye movements and the heartbeats. Next is NREM stage 2, with the body temperature dropping, breathing becoming more steady, and the heart rate becoming more regular, with the brain producing rhythmic brain waves known as sleep spindles. While this is happening, the body is preparing for NREM stage 3 and REM. For NREM stage 3, slow brain waves or delta waves appear, and in this stage, noises or sounds are less likely to wake the person. In this stage, the brain picks apart all that you receive throughout the day. Then is REM sleep, with the body being temporarily paralyzed, with the brain showing activity from when you were awake. Your body is relaxed, but the brain is active as you dream. It is said that during this stage, the brain also uses the time to put thoughts and emotions into memory to store for later. Once REM is over, the body returns to the state of NREM stage 2 before starting the cycle over again. It also states that in the book, studies have shown that sleep lets you do more than just rest. It also aids in long-term memories, which slow wave sleep and memory consolidation helps with this. Why do we sleep? Well, the body is going to feel tired after being awake for so long. So instead, you should be resting. But if you are fighting your sleep, in the end, your body will shut down, so you will sleep. Researchers have been trying to find a way in answering the question of why do we sleep, but to no avail did they find an answer. They do believe that the function of slow wave sleep is what permits the brain to sleep. Many things can ruin sleep patterns, but anything that shifts the balance of neurotransmitters can make the body feel fatigued or more awake. Other things that messes with these patterns are medications, alcohol, poor temperature environments, too much caffeine, and smoking. There are sleeping disorders that also mess with our sleep cycle, one being insomnia, which affects 25% of the population and is characterized as difficulty sleeping. Another is narcolepsy, which is basically sleep attacks that can happen at any time of the day. Another would be sleep anemia, which is the period of when you stop breathing while you're asleep. There are some good sleeping habits that can help if a person's having trouble sleeping, like exercising, having a sleep schedule, being in a comfortable sleep environment, or even seeing a healthcare provider.